Hey everyone, I'm Patricia and welcome to the Patricia J Show, a one-on-one celebrity lifestyle series created for you. Now today we are in Yorkville at Estia, Toronto, speaking to Canadian film star Amanda Brugel. Amanda Brugel, we're together again. I'm so excited.
Me too.
Now it's kind of personal. It's you and I together. We're like sisters, soul sisters.
I feel like we need a cocktail. Let's go.
I got you hooked up.
Yeah,
a little something, something,
yeah,
something. Cheers to you. Thank you for being here. Thank you so much. It means a lot. And speaking of, I want to know about you. The audience wants to know about you. So who's Amanda Brugel and how did this all begin for you?
Oh dear, it's a large question. I'd say first and foremost, I'm a mother. Then a crazy person, and then an actor. Like I think that you have to be all of them if you're going to be in this business. How did I get into it? I'm an actor, and I went to university for acting because it's the only thing that I wanted to do. I acted in high school. I danced a lot, and I was an actor in high school, and we went to a very competitive high school. I'm talking highly competitive. we had to stand up straight in silence when we were given direction. Like it was a great platform for training, and I knew immediately it's the only thing that I wanted to do.
Really?
So
at that age, you already knew.
I think I knew when I was young. I knew when I was really, really young. My mom, I made my parents take me and get headshots when I was 7.
Really?
And yeah, and like serious headshots.
Like glamour shots?
Like glamour shots, but like New York, like Broadway glamour shots. They were terrible. I had a full afro, full unibrow.
Wow.
Can't believe I didn't get hired right away. But and so my parents, I looked up agencies in the Yellow Pages, and I
Yellow Pages.
put all of my. I know. It's not even on.
They don't even know what that is.
I know. I'm aging myself. Yellow Pages are a directory of numbers. People that are old. So I got together agents and their names and their numbers, and I put packages together, and so I had a stack of packages to send out to agents at 7 because I was going to be a star. And nothing happened, and I didn't hear anything back. And a couple years later, we were moving, and I was cleaning out a bookshelf, and I pulled a book, and suddenly out tumbled the packages that I had assembled. My parents didn't deliver them.
Oh no, that must have broke your heart.
It was devastating.
Oh.
But in hindsight, I think it was the best thing possible.
Okay.
Child actors, it's for the parents that do it, it's fine, it's great. I just don't know if I would have stayed in the business. And it's a hard business, especially for a child. My parents aren't in the business at all. There's no one in the business in the family. And my parents are hardworking. My dad wanted me to be an airline pilot.
Real? A pilot?
A pilot, specifically
Not a
pilot.
flight attendant?
No, a pilot. He was saying there were very few
big.
women at the time that were pilots. He wanted me to be one of the first airline pilots, so he had that in his head.
So he had
a vision.
The big dream, the big vision for you,
Yeah, and all of a sudden I'm coming and saying I want to be the next Whitney Houston at the time, even though I didn't sing. So it scared them, so I think that they thought that they could just, no one would get hurt. They could tell me that no one was interested, I would get over it, I'm a kid, I go for flying lessons.
It was all to protect you.
Yes,
much, yeah.
And then they didn't realize that I would uncover their dirty secret, and then it would ruin me.
And how did you do that? You're like, excuse me.
They all fell out, like all of the envelopes fell out, and I remember seeing them, it was like they fell out in slow motion. And I remember looking up at my mom, and then my mom sort of in slow motion trying to cover them. Like they were busted, they knew they were busted right away. And then my mom said, it was kind of a great lesson though, because my mom had to sit me down and say, and this is the one thing my parents are great at, she had to sit down and be forthright and just be honest and say, we did it, we hit it. from you. We didn't think you were going to find out. And it was one of the earliest moments I had sort of observing human nature and observing people that are supposed to be in one role, your parents, that are supposed to be the strong people that always have the answers, and observing how they act when they don't have the answers. And
at
how they
7,
act
I'm
at
still
7.
amazed that all this was happening at 7.
I think when you want to be an actor, when you're interested in human beings or you're interested in humanity, you start looking for things to observe because you're just curious. It's just.
So would you say then your parents were your inspiration?
No.
No.
Nope. And no. My parents are quite eccentric in their own right. So I don't know if that inspired me to find a creative outlet and then live a very creative lifestyle. My mom made Santa Clauses for a living.
Huh? What do you mean?
Yeah. No, I mean what I just said.
Like for the front of people's houses, or
for
like
all
for
the houses, for the front, for the back, for the tables.
So she's a creative.
So she's a creative. So half of the year she would go out and she would collect.
Wow, that's cool.
Sheep, like
the wool
from sheep for the beards. She would mold the faces. She would design Santas. So from May until June, like May until December of my life, it was Christmas in my house. There were Christmas trees, there were Santas.
Presents too?
So no. So there was magic in my house all of the time. So my parents influenced it, but it's probably growing up with magic in your house. We were sort of nomads in a way. My dad managed, there's a chain of theaters called Famous Players.
Okay, yeah.
And my dad managed those. So my very first experience in a theater was sitting up when they still just had the projection booths, would be sitting up in the projection booths as a child watching all the people watch the movie.
Wow.
And I wouldn't watch the movie, I would watch the people watch the movie. So I think that there's an impact there.
$19.99 was your first role, and it wasn't a television show.
No.
It was a movie.
With Christopher Walken.
With Christopher Walken. Over 100 television and films that he's done. Television shows, films. Was that not intimidating? Your first role was with this heavyweight.
You know, he was so, I find the larger the star, the more kind, the more,
Really?
Oh yeah. I mean, really, really big star.
Okay.
The more open they are. He was wonderful and patient and calm, and I think he knew that I was so scared. My mom, again, my parents were there. My mom, he saw my parents. The back of the set. So I think that there was an element that he was like, this person is really excited to be on the film. So I think that maybe reminded him of when he started. I'm not sure. But it was, when it's your first time, you don't really know the stakes. You don't really know that how much film costs. You don't know how much, if you screw up something, it costs. So I was just so happy to be there that it didn't scare me. It didn't really start to make me nervous until I had to do it to support myself. So yeah, I applied to a lot of universities. I got a scholarship at York. I didn't know if I wanted to be a writer or an actor. So I wrote an essay on a book called The Handmaid's Tale, which is my favorite book.
Are you kidding?
No.
You're giving me chills. You guys will see why later. Oh my god.
And I got a full scholarship for writing based on my essay for The Handmaid's Tale, and I chose to go into acting because I thought that writing might be too difficult.
You know what show you're on right now, right?
I'm on a show called The Handmaid's Tale.
Oh my god, by Margaret Atwood. How does that happen?
I don't know.
That's
it was crazy.
nuts.
It was crazy. I will tell you though, when I got, we're skipping university, but when I did get the call for The Handmaid's Tale, like when I got the call and I realized they were turning it into a series, but also I was going to have an opportunity to go to audition for it. It was the only time in my career where I went in and like I went in thinking nobody else had a chance. Like I went in angry, like hangry. It's one of those things where you build your whole life towards a moment, and the moment is there, and so you have to take it.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
And you're just one of 2 Canadians on that set as well, right? The Handmaid's Tale.
Just one.
You're the only Canadian.
I'm the only Canadian. Margaret Atwood had a cameo in it, but as far as the principal cast, I'm the only Canadian.
Are you kidding?
It's lonely, but it's.
How does it actually feel though? Are you surrounded by all American actors, and then there you are, Miss Maple Syrup?
British actors, and then a lot of Americans, and then maple syrup. Yeah.
Oh, maple syrup.
Which is, I know,
sweet.
like actual maple syrup. Which is, it's wonderful on one hand because you feel really accomplished, and on the other hand, there's a certain way that we conduct ourselves. We were talking about this earlier. There's a certain humility. There's a certain kindness that Canadians bring to their work, and it's lovely. But if you're the only one there, you can kind of get pushed around until you have to.
Because it could be taken as weakness.
Yes. It's easily translated as weakness. I don't think it happened on that set necessarily, but it has happened on other sets where it's translated as weakness until you sort of have to learn your lesson and step up.
Seeds, Orphan Black.
Yeah.
The Korean series, Eyewitness as well,
Convenience.
Kim's Convenience.
Yeah.
Eyewitness, did you break the border? Did you end up going to the States for that? You had the debut on
I did.
USA,
On
the USA Network.
Yeah, that was the first time. I mean, I'd gone back and forth. So there's two parts to my career. There's the early years, I like to call them, when I wanted to be an actor for a very different reason. I think I liked the idea of being on set and people doing my makeup, and I liked the craft. I loved the craft, I always have, but the shine of it all became more important than the actual work.
Okay.
That became more important than the craft.
That can be, right.
And it's dangerous, and a lot of people fall into that. And if that's what you want, if you're 100% that's what you want, and that's what you're going for, good for you.
The shine?
Just the shine. And some people, that can sustain them.
Doesn't the shine dull, though?
Shine dulls. It does. But if that's what sustains you, I know a lot of people that do that.
Each their own.
Do you. Shine away. Get your shine spray and do you. But it wasn't enough for me. So I didn't really, there was no traction because there wasn't anything, I didn't have any sort of heart into what I was doing.
What had happened in that time? Why did you decide to divvy away?
I decided to take a break because I had a breakdown. So I thought I should just continue on the line of breakage. I was in the States and I had traveled a lot and I had found a lot of success south of the border, and I kept getting pilots. It was wonderful. And I got one pilot. It was finally greenlit. It was finally ready to go, and the lead actor on the pilot died.
Oh my God.
It was crushing. It was all of a sudden, it was just too much to bear of sort of climbing that mountain and falling again. I couldn't have any more disappointments. So I was in the parking lot of the Warner Brothers parking lot, and I went to go back to my car after I had found out the news that he had passed. And I couldn't find my car. I had to phone my roommate who took a cab and to come and help me find my car. And then this old man in a lovely golf cart helped us drive around. And then I realized I wasn't even in the right studio. I was in a studio across the street. So I flew home immediately and knew that there was something wrong. And that was the beginning when I started battling with anxiety and depression, mental illness. It's a huge reason why I started Brug's Army. There's a sort of an underlying current about being open about mental illness on Brug's Army. And again, because it's on social media, everyone can talk almost anonymously about it because they're not in front of each other. It's not a self-help group. Right. And they can talk to different voices from around the world. So that was my moment of devastation. I was in the place I wanted to be in Los Angeles. I had booked a job. I wasn't seeing all of the good that had come out of it. I couldn't see anything. So that was a moment that I thought, this is scary, and if this job is overwhelming me this much, I have to stop and take a step back and take a break. And that's when I veered away from the business. There's been many moments of heartbreak before then and since then. That one was so significant just because sometimes it all piles up and you don't know why. But I love the fact that it happened, and with other people, if they're going through hard times, I love the fact that it happened because I know that I got over it. I know that I surmounted, and I mean, I'm okay now. And if I hadn't have gone through it, I wouldn't have quit. I needed to quit. I needed to stay back and get healthy and raise a family and create other things in my life. And so it was the worst and most devastating thing that happened to me, but it's probably the best thing.
It's a blessing, so to say.
Yeah. But I mean, now I really keep track of my car when I park it.
You sure? I can help you after
I don't
this
know
show.
where my car is. I don't know where my car is.
Okay. So in that little break, if you actually didn't go back, do you know that you would have never won that ACTRA award? You would have never won the ACTRA award for outstanding female performance.
Oh, I know.
Outstanding female performance. How was that in that role? And that role?
That was Sex After Kids.
Sex After, yeah. Was that a little bit of a different turn for you career-wise?
Well, it was a huge departure, and that's when I came back. I got a new agent, and she sat me down, and we were just sort of talking about the introductory talk of what you want to do with your career. But she sat me down and she had me make a list of 10 things that I wanted to achieve. And I know that sounds very eat, pray, love, but she did. And I wrote them down. And so she, like, for example, she looked at them and was like, okay, again,
Really?
And then she was like, those aren't enough.
Like,
It's not high enough. So then I wrote another list, and then she was like, again. So then I wrote a list that I thought was bananas, like attend the Oscars, and
she wanted you to go high.
Just go high right away. And what it did was, it shaped me to start thinking this about this career as limitless. Like, I think we go in and think, if I get here, I'll be okay. If I get a show, I'll be okay.
A lot of people think like that.
And then all you're doing is saying to yourself, this is where I'll end. And it never ends. It's always evolving. It's ever changing, and it's limitless. Creativity is limitless. Artistry is limitless. So suddenly I was with someone who not only gave me permission to do it, but encouraged me to do it. So on a dime, it changed, because I started looking at opportunities as having no limits. So after that first year, different rules started coming. So Sex After Kids was amazing, but it was very different. I think it was different because all of a sudden I had no limits in how I saw myself as an actor.
Okay.
And
it seems like you would naturally, though, land a role like that because you had your kids already.
Because I had kids.
Yeah, and you were married, and were you having sex after kids kind of thing?
I was not. I was not. I didn't. I am now.
So how'd you get the role then?
The writer was a friend. It was just a group of friends that wanted to work together, and all of us had kids at the same time, and we all had horrible stories. We were all crying all the time. We were all like day drinking just to get through our lives, and so we just got together and did that. But what that role did is, as opposed to sort of doing the lighthearted comedies that I had done for 10 years before that, I suddenly stepped into the foray of drama, where I've sort of existed since. So this list that I made for my agent, so I wrote, one of the things was I wanted to attend the Oscars, and I wanted to attend a fancy party, and I wanted to get a lead role in a film where I had to shave the side of my head, or I had to drastically change the way I looked. And within that year, I landed room, and I went to the Oscars, and I had to shave the side of my head because I landed eyewitness afterwards. And so suddenly this list that had started off with 10 things, we had checked off 8 in a year, and the next year, within the first 3 months, we checked off the whole list.
Oh my gosh.
But I didn't have any time to sort of worry about the shine and the glamour. I just missed the craft and the magic that I had grown up with. The magic of the Santa Claus and the magic of sitting in the theater watching people watch the screen. I missed that. And finally, I realized that I had to go back, because that was the love of my life. The magic, pursuing the magic.
Wow. It always goes back to that.
Has to.
That's your foundation, that magic.
Yeah.
That glimmer, that glistening, that
the
just
Santas
it makes you feel like that kid, that 7-year-old Amanda again.
Well, that's normal to me. It makes me, it's like almost going back to center. That's normal to me. That's normal life. People, I guess younger kids would come home and have eat around the table. I would come home and help my mom glue sheeps to a Santa. And that was just like a Tuesday. So yeah.
It's a normal day.
Yeah.
Amanda, I want to take everyone now through the sweet moment.
Yeah.
So the sweet moment is a moment in our show where we ask our celebrity, when did you discover that you were going to be this actress, be this role, be this person that you are? That aha moment, that moment of nostalgia. When did that happen for you?
I was in high school. Like I said, I was in theater in high school.
Yes.
I didn't choose to be. I was very athletic. Captain of the basketball team, captain of the volleyball team, track, ran anchor for our relay. And I was in a drama class. I would flunk out of drama all the time because all of the cool kids were doing it, and they didn't, and being in the arts was sort of something that people made fun of. So my teacher pulled me aside, and I was getting 13% in my drama class at the time. And she pulled me aside and said, "You like this. I know you like this. I know that you have a bit of a love for this and you're hiding it. So I will pass you if you audition for the play, the school play." So I did. And I walked out and I auditioned and I gave a monologue, and then they redirected me, and something happened where the lights in the theater, they went out, and it was like a power shortage. So only the emergency lights came on. And I could only see the back, and I couldn't see any seats. I couldn't see anything. And suddenly, when people say you were bit by the bug.
Yes.
I saw the little girl that would watch the people in the theater. I saw what they were watching, if that makes any sense.
It does.
I felt like I was all of a sudden had transferred over to the other side of the screen.
Exactly.
And it was an absolute like moment of clarity for what I wanted to do for my life, who I wanted to be, and it was just standing on the stage alone, nobody in the audience even, just standing in that space, being able to hold your own and create something. It wasn't even necessary for someone to see it. It was just creating a moment on a stage that had stayed with me, and I think about it all the time before I audition.
Wow, it stays with you. That moment stays with you forever.
Crossing over to the other side of from being the observer to being the performer.
Okay, Amanda, I know you're from the Schwa, but we're in the
it.
T-Dot.
We are.
The 6. Is it one of the boroughs, the Schwa? I think it is. One of the...
I think it's outside of a borough. I think it's
like
a borough of a borough. No, it's far, is what it is.
But we are in Toronto.
Yes.
You have crossed borders. People know, obviously, you rep Canada. You're tried and true north, strong and free. But what does Toronto mean to you, though?
Oh, it's not one person of the same race when you're walking down the street.
Very true.
Having a father who is half, who was born in Mumbai and who is Jewish. And
Tell us the story of your family.
so I don't know my birth father. I was adopted, but the man who adopted me, he was born in Mumbai and is Jewish. So my father is mixed, Indian and Jewish, and my mother was born in here, but she has a British family, and so my sister is a product of them. So in my immediate family, not one person is the same race. My father, my sister, my mother, and I. And
You guys are Toronto.
we're Toronto's. I married a South African man, and we have a child who looks like us, same skin coloring. But my second child has blonde hair and blue eyes.
Really?
He takes after my mother. So I have this melting pot that I've grown up with. That's all I know since I was little, and then now I've gone on to create a second sort of melting pot generation. So coming to Toronto, it's like I'm in Hollywood, because I look at all of the people like they're stars, because I love I love the different faces. I love the fact that there's such a everyone is so condensed, such a small amount of room, but so many cultures and religions.
So the whole world lives in Toronto.
The whole world, and we're fine. We're doing fine. I love that, and I love hearing. The thing I love the most is hearing people that English isn't their first language and they're screaming at each other in a fight, but it still sounds so glorious, and there's still so much love between them because
So let's talk about Toronto as an artist. You're here, you're talking about how Toronto is such a community. The acting world is such a community. How do you feel an artist can kind of shine and then break those borders? Because you're gone.
in Toronto.
From Toronto, becoming a big star.
This is probably not going to be the best advice for people burgeoning and not really having a lot of money to cross the border. But what I do find is that when you cross the border and there's even a little bit of heat on you outside, especially in the States, and you come back here, suddenly everyone's willing to pay attention. I don't like that. That's the reason I created the styling business, because I thought I could start it from in here. But in all honesty, that's how it works. What I do see changing, and what I do see would be helpful, are shows like this. Of people being able to give Canadian artists a platform, treating them the same, of creating a star system here, or at least acknowledging Canadian talent. And in that respect, in that regard, I see in Toronto how you succeed in Toronto is you get a posse of Toronto artists. Because if you cross promote each other, your voices together can become louder instead of trying to do the hustle by yourself. I'm a big proponent of that. I think that's why I did the styling business, because the more of a team that you can gather, I do the same thing with my management team, my PR team, the more of a team you can gather and you're solid, the louder you can be together. I would love to control something where I'm on the side of creating it, not necessarily directing, but I would love to produce something of my own, something for women. It's always women, and strong women are usually my through line. But I would love to be able to produce an actual personal family story. So that's my next big thing. And it's a Canadian story, and a story that I'm proud of. And then I would like to take it to Cannes, and I would like to be on a yacht. That's my story.
Go out there on Yacht Week and just enjoy yourself.
Yes, thank you. Thank you.
That's a big goal, but I think you can do it. Limitless, right? Limitless.
Yeah, limitless.
Absolutely.
Canadian story, love it, producing yacht.
I want to go back to your parents.
Okay.
So we talked about the magic in the home, and you were 4 at Famous Players with Dad, and you were 7 when you really saw that magic come alive. Your mom and dad, though, as you earlier shared with us, they didn't mail out your headshots.
Yeah, I know.
they probably didn't even want you to be Amanda Brugel, the actress.
No,
And
when
now
I went to
you're-
university, they wouldn't, my dad did not want to financially help me at all, because again, I didn't go to pilot school. No, again, it's such a tumultuous career. It's so unpredictable, and what parent wants that for your child? You never want
to protect you.
Yeah.
They don't want to see their baby get hurt.
And they want to raise your child to know that you're going to be okay, not that you're going to sort of run off with the circus, which is kind of what it's like when you're an actor. So they were good. They every time I got a job, they were so supportive and they were so lovely. But they would also encourage me to sort of, maybe look at other avenues if I wanted to.
Have a real job.
Yeah.
Kind of.
Anyways, it wasn't until I quit that my parents, both of them, came to me one day and bullied me to get back into the business.
Wow.
Yeah.
That was in your time off.
That was my time off. They were like, I don't know what you're doing. This is your life. This is the love of your life. You haven't even started yet. You have so much more to do. Get back out there. And my husband did too. My husband, at the beginning, when my first audition back, my husband said, just go back. You love it. Your heart is there. Give it a year and see if you can do it. Test it out. And if you don't land anything in a year, then maybe you can do it. But at least you can go back and do it. And my first audition back was Seed.
Oh my gosh, and you land your first audition.
It was nice, yeah.
Goodness,
Yeah.
see? You can't divvy away from your destiny.
No,
That's
you can't.
your destiny.
You can't.
Do your parents realize that though today?
Absolutely now. Absolutely. Now they're a little too happy about it. Like now there are too many phone calls. Now there are too many. They come. I'm surprised they're not here. No, never too much. They come to everything. They come to every event.
That's nice.
They tape things and then they recite them for me on the phone. Like if I have episodes of Handmaids or episodes of Kim's, they'll recite them for me and recite all my lines.
Are you kidding?
No, I'm not. I'm actually not. No, it's a lot. It's so great, but it's also that's enough. No, I love it. I love it. They're the most supportive people in the world.
They sound like amazing people. I hope I get to meet them one day.
You will. You will.
Yeah. That's your word, okay? Okay, well, I think, we're all actors in this movie of life.
Yeah. Oh, good.
You like that?
Yeah.
I made it up.
Yeah.
All actors in this movie of life, right?
Yes.
I play the TV host, you play the actress and the mom. But if you weren't playing that role, if you weren't Amanda Brugel, the actress, what do you think you'd be doing today, aside from being a pilot?
Okay. I don't think I'd be a pilot. I would be...
Probably can't even think, right?
No, I would love to... I think everybody says this. I would love to do social work.
Social? Really?
But social work with... I have my own charity. It's called Brug's Army.
Amazing.
I've raised now, in total of the events that I do, we raise money mostly online, and we choose a women's group, and then we or choose a hospital, or we choose a women's shelter. I just raised, $10,000 in the support of sick kids 3 days ago. I love connecting with families and connecting and hearing people's stories and connecting and just getting down to the truth of it. It's not unlike being an actor, but connecting to families and helping them. I think that it would take a huge toll on me emotionally, because as an actor I can walk away when it's done.
Very true.
But it's something that I think I would love to do. Well, I was on Seed. I was on a television show, and people really identified with my character, and they started, fans in the States started depositing money in my name, and then they would, for a variety of charities, and I'd get a little note and say, Julie Smith deposited $200 for this charity. And so the first couple were flattering, but then I thought, I need to harness this and take a hold of it. A, because what are you doing and why are you doing this? And B, because I thought if we gathered together, more voices are louder. So our first event, it's basically an online run charity. And by that I mean, we fundraise all our proceeds. We communicate. We use social media to rally our voices, as opposed to events. We do it all through social media, and then sometimes I have events, but the interaction takes place through social media. And so the first event I had was a fundraiser. It was celebrities got to meet fans, and we raised over $30,000 for a child's hospital. Oh my gosh. And then I had an event for a women's shelter, and we raised $10,000 for that, and then we raised a lot of items, clothing and food for that. I just think the essentials. I just think it's really important, if you are given a platform, any platform, to use your voice wisely. There's so much noise out there. And so if you're given a chance to speak and use your voice, then use it properly. It's just, I feel like it's your responsibility.
Yeah, big
especially on social media. There's a lot of nonsense on social media. So if we can use it, if the fact that now I can speak to someone in the Philippines and I can speak to someone in Hawaii and we can raise money together like this, and we have something in common, it's lovely. It makes such a large, noisy world seem so much smaller and more intimate.
Noise in a positive way.
In a positive way, yeah.
I love that.
Yeah, thank you.
Amanda, this is our final segment of the show. It's called Curtain Call, and I love to ask my celebrities, when all is said and done, Amanda, what do you want people to remember you for?
This is so cheesy. I would like people to remember me for being a kind, good person. And I know that people want a legacy and they want to leave behind, I'm not even really sure what a lot of people want to leave behind. I just want to know that I went after my dream without, you know, compromising my integrity and without stepping on anyone, and hopefully lifting other people with me. I just want to know being a good woman.
You're already on it.
Aw.
Yay!
Thank you.
And with that, I want to thank you all for watching the Patricia J Show featuring Amanda Brugel today. Of course, we want you to interact with us online. Our links are below for Twitter, Instagram, all of social media. We're socially savvy here. And of course, our hashtag, the Patricia J Show. Get us trending so we can keep the conversation, the Canadian conversation, talking. Thank you so much for your time, Amanda.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you.
Cheers to you. And we'll see you next time on the Patricia J Show. Thanks for being here.
You're welcome.
Woo.